I can't get hired anywhere. Not in Seattle, not in Portland, not even in Tacoma. I've sent out 237 job applications in the last 6 months. 237. And you know how many interviews I've gotten? 3. And those 3 ended the second they Googled my name. Because 6 months ago, I destroyed my career. I destroyed a startup I loved. I got 12 people fired. And everyone knows what I did. So yeah, this is the story of how I sabotaged my coworker to get a promotion, and how it all came crashing down in the most brutal way possible. And I'm telling you this not because I'm proud of it, but because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Needs to know what happens when ambition turns you into someone you don't recognize. My name is Lydia Grant. I'm 28 years old. And this is my confession. Let me take you back to 18 months ago. Back when things were good. Back when I had a job I actually cared about. I'd been freelancing as a graphic designer for about 5 years. Ever since I moved to Seattle from Sacramento with a design degree, $43,000 in student loans, and absolutely no plan. Freelancing was fine. It paid the bills. Barely. But it was lonely. I worked from my apartment, barely talked to anyone except my roommate, Joss. And honestly, I was starting to wonder if this was it. If I'd peaked at 26. Then I met Ryan Choi at a networking event. He was starting something called Lighthouse AI, a tech startup focused on accessibility tools for people with visual impairments, using artificial intelligence to help blind users navigate websites, apps, physical spaces. He was passionate, charismatic, and he needed a designer. He offered me a full-time position. First, design lead. Equity in the company. A real salary, not just project rates. I said yes before he finished the offer. I started in March of 2024. The team was small, just 12 people total. Ryan and his co-founder Madison ran operations. We had 4 engineers, 2 product people, 1 marketer, 1 office manager, and me. Oh, and Mara Chen, the senior product manager. Mara was 31. Stanford MBA. 5 years at Amazon before joining Lighthouse. She was smart, polished, organized. The kind of person who always seemed to have everything figured out. Ryan trusted her completely. Madison did too. If Ryan was the visionary, Mara was the one who made things actually happen. I respected her. I really did. But I also felt this constant low-level competition with her. We were both women in leadership roles in a male-heavy startup. We were both ambitious. Both wanted to prove ourselves. We were friendly. We went to happy hours together, collaborated on projects. But we were never friends. Not really. For the first year, things were great. We were building something that mattered. I designed interfaces that helped people navigate the world. Real people. We got letters from users telling us how our tools changed their lives. I felt like I was finally doing something important. And then in April of 2025, everything changed. Ryan and Madison called an all-hands meeting. They told us the company was growing. We were raising a Series A funding round. But before we could scale, we needed to restructure leadership. They were creating a new role. Vice President of Product. Someone who could oversee the entire product roadmap, manage the growing team interface with investors. It was a big role, big responsibility, and big equity. Ryan looked around the room. There are really only 2 people qualified for this position. Mara and Lydia. My heart started pounding. This was it. This was the opportunity I'd been waiting for my entire career. You'll both prepare presentations for our potential investors, Madison said. Show them your vision for Lighthouse's future. The presentations are in 4 weeks. We'll make our decision after that. 4 weeks. 1 presentation. 1 shot at becoming someone who mattered. I wanted it so badly I could taste it. The title, Vice President. The equity increase. The validation that I wasn't just some freelancer who got lucky, that I actually belonged here. But I knew the truth. Mara had the edge. She had the experience, the pedigree, the relationship with Ryan and Madison. They trusted her more. Everyone knew it. I went home that night and couldn't sleep. Joss found me at 2 a.m. sitting at the kitchen table, with my laptop staring at a blank presentation slide. "You okay?" she asked. "I have to win this," I said. She sat down across from me. You know, wanting something too much can make you do stupid things, right? I'm not going to do anything stupid. She looked at me for a long moment. Just don't lose yourself over a job title, Lids. It's not worth it. I should have listened to her. The next 4 weeks were intense. I worked constantly. Late nights, weekends. I researched everything. Market trends, competitor analysis, user data. I built mock-ups, created prototypes, developed a comprehensive product roadmap for the next 3 years. And I watched Mara. I couldn't help it. I'd see her in meetings confident and articulate. See her laughing with Ryan in the kitchen. See her staying late just like me preparing her presentation. 2 weeks before the pitch, something happened. I was working late, and I needed to pull some user analytics from our shared drive. I opened a folder looking for the data, and I found one of Mara's presentation files. It was an accident. I wasn't snooping. But there it was. A document called Product Vision Draft 3. I hesitated. I shouldn't look at it. That would be crossing a line. But I opened it anyway. And what I saw made my blood boil. Mara had incorporated ideas from my design presentations. Concepts I'd presented in team meetings, visual frameworks I'd developed. Not stealing exactly, but definitely leveraging my work. Using my ideas to build her pitch. Without crediting me, I sat there staring at the screen, feeling this hot anger rising in my chest. She was playing dirty. She was using my work to get ahead. And everyone thought she was so professional, so ethical. I closed the file. But that anger stayed with me. It grew. Every time I saw Mara over the next 2 weeks, I thought about those slides. About how she was taking credit for my ideas. About how unfair it all was. And that anger made me feel justified. Made me feel like whatever I did to level the playing field was okay. Because she'd done it first right. Looking back now, I can see how messed up my thinking was. How I turned Mara into a villain in my head to justify what I was about to do. But at the time, I felt righteous. I felt like I was just evening the score. 3 days before the presentations, I was working late again. The office was empty. Just me and the hum of the air conditioning. I needed to check something in the shared system. I opened the product folder. And there it was. Mara's final presentation. Lighthouse Series, a pitch final. I told myself I just wanted to see what I was up against. Just wanted to know how worried I should be. I opened the file. It was perfect. Polished, professional, data-driven. She had detailed financial projections, user growth models, competitive analysis. Everything was flawless. Every slide was airtight. I sat there reading through it, and I felt this sinking feeling in my stomach. I was going to lose. There was no way my presentation was this good. Mara had nailed it. I closed my laptop. Went home. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling. And at 2:17 in the morning, I made a decision. I got up, opened my laptop, logged into the shared drive, and I opened Mara's presentation file. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. But I did it anyway. I made changes. Small ones. Subtle. I switched some of the data visualizations so they didn't match the supporting text. I changed a few numbers in the financial projections. Just enough to make them inconsistent. I deleted 3 slides from the middle of the deck. Important slides. Ones that connected her main arguments. Nothing obvious. Nothing she'd notice in a quick review. But enough to make her presentation seem sloppy. Unprepared. Not vice president material. I finished at 3:45 in the morning. Saved the file. Closed my laptop. And then I threw up. I spent the next 2 days in this weird, dissociative state. Part of me knew what I'd done was wrong. Knew it was a betrayal. But another part of me kept rationalizing. Kept saying Mara had used my ideas first. Kept saying this was just competition. This was just what you had to do to get ahead. I convinced myself that if Mara was really as detail-oriented as everyone thought, she'd catch the errors before the presentation. She'd review her slides. And if she didn't catch them well, that proved she wasn't thorough enough for the vice president role anyway. That's how I justified it. That's how I let myself sleep at night. I avoided Mara. Couldn't look her in the eye. Threw myself into practicing my own presentation. Told myself to focus on doing my best, not on what I'd done to her. The night before the presentations, Jas asked me if I was okay. "You seem stressed," she said. "It's just the pitch tomorrow. High stakes." She studied my face. "Lids, you didn't do anything stupid, did you?" "No," I lied. "Of course not." She didn't look convinced. But she let it go. The day of the presentations arrived. It was a Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. The date is burned into my brain. The investors were coming to our office. Ryan and Madison had rented a conference room at a WeWork space to make it more professional. 3 investors total. The presentation order was decided by a coin flip. I went first. I was nervous, but I did okay. Not amazing, not terrible. I got through my slides, answered their questions. The investors were polite, asked good questions, seemed interested. But I could tell I hadn't blown them away. Then it was Mara's turn. I watched from the back of the room. Madison had asked me to stay, said it was good for team culture to support each other. So I sat there and watched Mara stand up confident and professional in her navy blazer, ready to nail this presentation and take the job that I wanted so desperately. She started strong. Her opening was compelling. She had great energy. And then she got to slide 5. I saw her pause. Just for a second. Her eyes flickered to her laptop screen, then back to the projection. She continued, but something had shifted. A tiny hesitation in her voice. Slide 8. Another pause. Longer this time. She looked confused. The data here shows. She stopped. Frowned. "I apologize, there seems to be a formatting issue with this slide." She tried to move forward. But the investors had noticed. One of them, a woman named Karen, spoke up. "Can you walk us through the user growth projections? Those numbers seem inconsistent with what you mentioned earlier." Mara looked at her laptop. Her face went pale. These numbers aren't what I had in my notes." "I'm not sure what." She was flustered now. Rattled. She tried to recover, tried to explain, but the damage was done. She couldn't answer Karen's follow-up questions because the numbers didn't make sense. Because I'd changed them. She reached a section where 3 slides should have been. Critical slides explaining her go-to-market strategy. They were gone. She stumbled through an explanation trying to cover the gap from memory. But it was clear to everyone in the room that something was wrong. That she was unprepared. The presentation that should have taken 30 minutes ended after 20. The investors thanked her politely. Professionally. But I could see it in their faces. They weren't impressed. After they left, Mara immediately opened her laptop, frantically clicking through her presentation file. I watched her face as she realized what she was seeing. The confusion. The disbelief. Ryan and Madison pulled her into a side room. I couldn't hear what they were saying. But I could see through the glass walls. Mara looked devastated. Madison looked concerned. Ryan looked disappointed. I went back to my desk feeling sick. Feeling this horrible mix of guilt and triumph. Mara left early that day. I heard her tell the office manager she wasn't feeling well. I went home and couldn't eat dinner. Joss asked what happened. I told her I didn't want to talk about it. 3 days later, Ryan called an all-hands meeting. The investors had passed. They weren't interested in leading the Series A round. The feedback was that our product leadership seemed disorganized, that they had concerns about our ability to scale. Ryan looked exhausted. "We're going to keep trying. Reach out to other investors." But this was our strongest lead. This is a setback. 2 days after that, Madison called Mara into a meeting. An hour later, Mara was gone, quietly let go. The official story was mutual parting of ways. But everyone knew what it meant. She'd blown the investor presentation. She'd cost the company a potential funding round. I felt horrible. But I didn't say anything. What could I say? A week later, Ryan offered me the vice president position. I sat in his office looking at the offer letter, and all I felt was this hollow emptiness. "You did a great job on the presentation," Lydia Ryan said. "We're excited to have you step into this role." I should have felt triumphant. I should have felt accomplished. This was what I wanted. What I'd worked for. But all I felt was sick. "Thank you," I said. I signed the paperwork. That night, Joss asked me about it. I told her I got the promotion. "That's amazing," she said. But she was watching my face carefully. "You don't seem happy." "I'm just tired." Lids. What happened with Mara? Why did she mess up that presentation? I don't know. She just wasn't prepared, I guess. Joss looked at me for a long moment. "You're lying to me." "I'm not." "You're lying to me and you're lying to yourself. And whatever you did, it's eating you alive." I didn't respond. Couldn't respond. She shook her head. "I hope it was worth it." It wasn't. I started my new role as Vice President of Product on June 1st. Corner office. Well, corner desk in our open plan office. 20% equity increase. New title on my LinkedIn. But I couldn't enjoy any of it. Every time I sat at my new desk, I thought about Mara. About her face during that presentation. About how she must have felt, how confused she must have been. I looked her up on LinkedIn. She'd updated her profile. She'd landed somewhere. Some other tech company. A good role. But I knew that didn't erase what I'd done to her. And the guilt just kept growing. But I told myself I could live with it. Told myself that this was just the cost of ambition. That everyone did questionable things to get ahead. That I'd learn from this and be better going forward. I had no idea what was coming. June turned into July. The company was struggling. Without the series of funding, we were burning through our runway. Ryan and Madison were scrambling to find other investors, but the word was out that Lighthouse had issues with product leadership. Other venture capitalists were wary. We started having layoffs, talks, budget cuts. The team was stressed, morale was tanking, and I was working 80-hour weeks trying to fix it. Trying to prove I deserved this role. Trying to save the product roadmap. But nothing I did seemed to help. We were bleeding money and running out of time. In mid-July, Ryan called an emergency board meeting. Madison looked grim. They needed to figure out what had gone wrong with the Series A pitch. Why such a promising lead had fallen apart so quickly. One of our board members, an investor named Tom, asked to review everything related to that pitch. All the presentation materials, all the prep documents, everything. I didn't think much of it at first. Why would I? I'd covered my tracks. Except I hadn't. Not completely. 3 days later, Ryan asked me to join a meeting. Just him, Madison, and Tom. I walked into the conference room. The energy was wrong. Cold. Tense. "Sit down," Lydia Ryan said. Saturday. Tom opened his laptop. Turned it toward me. "Do you know what version control is?" My stomach dropped. The shared drive keeps a history of every edit made to every file, he continued. Date time user account. Everything. On the screen was Mara's presentation file. The version history. And there, clear as day, was my user account. Making edits at 2:43 in the morning on May 11th. 3 days before the presentation. I couldn't breathe. "Would you like to explain this?" Madison asked. Her voice was ice. I tried. God, I tried. I said I was just reviewing it. That I must have accidentally made changes. That I didn't realize. That it was a mistake. But they pulled up the detailed edit log. Showed me exactly what I'd changed. The deleted slides. The altered data. The strategic sabotage. There was no way to explain it away. No way to claim it was accidental. "You sabotaged Mara's presentation," Ryan said. He sounded devastated. "You tanked our funding round. You got her fired." I didn't mean for. You didn't mean for what? For us to lose the investors. For Mara to lose her job. What exactly did you think would happen? I had no answer. Tom looked at me with disgust. "Do you understand what you've done? That funding round was critical. Without it, this company is going under." "We're already in acquisition talks," Madison said quietly. "We can't make payroll next month. We have to shut down." Shut down. The word hit me like a punch to the gut. "Everyone is losing their jobs," Lydia Ryan said. "Everyone. Marcus moved his family here from Boston for this job. Jen turned down an offer from Google. 12 people put their faith in this company. And you destroyed it because you wanted a promotion." I started crying. I couldn't help it. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Your employment is terminated effective immediately," Madison said. "You need to leave. Now." I stood up. My legs were shaking. "Please let me explain to the team. Let me apologize." "Absolutely not," Tom said. You've done enough damage. Get out. I left. Packed my desk while the team watched in confused silence. No one knew what was happening yet. No one knew what I'd done. They found out soon enough. The next day, Ryan sent an all-hands email. He didn't name me specifically, but he explained that the company was shutting down, that they'd discovered sabotage related to the failed investor presentation, that the person responsible was no longer with the company. It took about 4 hours for people to figure out it was me. Someone must have noticed the version history. Or maybe Ryan told someone in confidence. But by that evening, it was all over tech Twitter. Well, all over Seattle tech Twitter, which is a surprisingly small world. A Reddit thread appeared. Startup employee sabotages coworker tanks company. The details were disturbingly accurate. Someone from inside Lighthouse had leaked the whole story. My name was in the comments within an hour. I watched it happen in real time. Watched people dissect what I'd done. Watched the outrage grow. Someone posted screenshots of my LinkedIn, my Instagram, everything. I made all my social media private. Deleted my Twitter account. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. Jas came home that night and found me on the couch staring at my laptop screen, reading comment after comment about how I was a terrible person, how I deserved to be blacklisted, how I should never work in tech again. She sat down next to me. Is it true? Yeah. All of it. Yeah. She was quiet for a long time. I don't even know what to say to you. I know. Why, Lids? Why would you do that? I don't know. I wanted it so badly. I wanted to prove I was good enough. And I convinced myself she'd done something to me first. That I was just evening the score. She used some of your ideas in a presentation. You destroyed her career and everyone else's jobs. How is that even? She was right. Of course she was right. I don't know. It made sense at the time. But now, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I'm the kind of person who would do that. Jas looked at me. Really looked at me. I don't think I can live with someone who would do that. She moved out 3 weeks later. I don't blame her. The next 6 months were the worst of my life. I applied for jobs everywhere. 237 applications. But every recruiter who Googled my name found that Reddit thread. Found the articles. Found the evidence. No one would hire me. No one would even give me an interview. I burned through my savings. Had to move to a cheaper apartment, took whatever freelance work I could get under a pseudonym. Mostly small projects. Nothing that required video calls or real interaction. I looked up everyone from Lighthouse. Marcus and his family moved back to Boston. He found something at a healthcare startup. Jen landed at Microsoft. Most of the engineers found jobs within a month or two. And Mara. I looked her up probably 50 times. Her LinkedIn said she was now director of product at a fintech company, based in San Francisco, making probably double what she made at Lighthouse. She'd moved on. Recovered. Thrived even. Everyone had moved on except me. I thought about reaching out to her. Apologizing. But what would I even say? Sorry I sabotaged your presentation, got you fired and destroyed a company. It seemed insane. But in September, I did it anyway. I wrote her an email. I didn't make excuses, didn't try to justify it. I just told her the truth. That I'd sabotaged her presentation because I was desperate and ambitious and scared. That I was sorry. That I'd give anything to undo it. That she didn't have to respond, but I needed her to know I knew what I'd done was unforgivable. I sent it at 11 o'clock at night. Stared at my inbox for hours waiting for a response. She never responded. I don't blame her for that either. So here I am. 6 months later. Still in Seattle because I can't afford to move. Still freelancing under a fake name because my real name is poison in the tech industry. Still living with the knowledge that I destroyed something good because I couldn't handle not winning. People ask me sometimes if I've learned anything. If this experience changed me. Yeah, it changed me. It taught me that ambition without integrity is just selfishness. It taught me that the things you do when you think no one is watching define who you really are. It taught me that one bad decision, one moment of weakness, can unravel years of work and trust. I used to think karma was this mystical thing. This idea that the universe somehow punishes bad people and rewards good ones. But that's not what karma is. Karma is just consequences. It's just cause and effect. I sabotaged Mara's presentation. Consequence: I destroyed a company and my own career. There's no mystery to it. No cosmic justice. Just actions and their inevitable results. And the thing about consequences is that you don't get to control them. You don't get to decide they've gone far enough. They keep rippling outward, affecting people you never meant to hurt in ways you never imagined. I hurt Mara. But I also hurt Ryan and Madison, who'd trusted me. Hurt Marcus and his family. Hurt Jen, who gave up a Google offer for Lighthouse. Hurt every single person on that team who believed in what we were building. And I hurt myself. Not just my career, but my sense of who I am. I look in the mirror sometimes and don't recognize the person looking back. Because I never thought I was the kind of person who would do something like that. I thought I was better than that. Turns out I wasn't. Turns out when I wanted something badly enough, I was willing to do whatever it took to get it. Even if it meant destroying someone else. That's a hard thing to live with. I'm seeing a therapist now, twice a week. We talk a lot about accountability, about sitting with shame instead of running from it, about the difference between guilt and remorse. Guilt is feeling bad about what you did. Remorse is understanding the full weight of how it affected others. I have a lot of remorse. She asked me last week what I would say to someone in a similar situation. Someone feeling desperate and competitive, someone considering doing something unethical to get ahead. I thought about it for a long time. I'd tell them this. Whatever you're chasing, whatever promotion or opportunity or validation you think you need, it's not worth it. It's not worth losing yourself. It's not worth becoming someone you can't stand to look at. Because here's the truth. I got the promotion. I got the corner office and the equity increase, and the fancy title. I got everything I wanted, and I lost everything that mattered. So yeah, that's my story. That's how I sabotaged my coworker's presentation to get a vice president position, and how it destroyed my career, my friendships, my reputation, and my sense of self. I tell people this story now, not because I want sympathy. I don't deserve sympathy. But because I think maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Needs to understand that the shortcuts you take, the lines you cross, they don't just affect other people. They change who you are. And once you've crossed certain lines, you can't uncross them. You can only live with what you've done and try to be better going forward. I'm trying. That's all I can do. Try to be better. Try to rebuild some kind of life. Try to forgive myself even though I'm not sure I ever will. Because at the end of the day, I made a choice. I chose ambition over integrity. I chose winning over doing what was right. And now I live with that choice every single day. That's karma. Not punishment from the universe. Just the weight of your own actions following you everywhere you go. I sabotaged Mara's presentation. And in doing so, I sabotaged my entire life. And you know what the worst part is? I can't even say I didn't see it coming. Because deep down at 2:43 in the morning when I was making those changes to her file, I knew exactly what I was doing. I just didn't care enough to stop. And that's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life.